Sure seems like there's a lot to be afraid of these days. Sometimes I'm even afraid to go outside. And everybody has fears, but are you letting your fears hold you back? Well, I'm going to identify the 5 most common kitchen and cooking fears, check to see if you have them, and then eliminate them today. On the Carefree Cooks Code, I'm Chef Todd Moore, and this is the Carefree Cooks Code, every Tuesday live at noon Eastern. Here's our challenge. How can home cooks cook freely with creativity, confidence, and pride while ignoring recipes and still impressing themselves and others with what they cook? Well, the answer is found in becoming empowered with how cooking works, using dependable and repeatable methods of cooking that work for any ingredient, for any diet, and any desire, just like chefs do. And we'll know we've cracked it when everyone sees cooking as an exciting and rewarding way to improve their relationships, their lifestyles, and their health through better food and cooking. This is the Carefree Cooks Code. Hey, welcome back to the Carefree Cooks Code, everyone. This is the weekly show for methods, techniques, and insights into better food and cooking. And we're live every Tuesday at noon Eastern. If you're looking for any of my past videos, go to the archive on Facebook. It's facebook.com/chef.todd.more/videos, just to make it as confusing as possible. And if you want to see what I'm cooking for dinner and very often breakfast just about every day of the week, because I have cooked 100% of my meals since March 13th of this year, many months ago. Well, follow Chef Todd Moore on Instagram as well, because we're the Carefree Cook. Say it with me. I create my own recipes. I don't follow someone else's. I bring my friends and family together. I learn every time I cook. I create my own cooking style because I practice pro methods, and I wind up loving my cooking. Hello, everyone. Hi. Carefree cooks everywhere, all over the world. Our community grows every week by dozens and dozens and dozens of people. The geography grows all over the world. I love seeing people from everywhere. It's amazing. And I hope every one of you, each and every one of you, are staying well. I hope you're striving to be happy and healthy. I hope you are concentrating on encouraging and empowering others. It's one of my favorites. I hope you're being generous and kind. That will help everyone. And if you do all these things, we can all improve our lifestyles together, right? You know the phrase, a rising souffle lifts all boats. No, well, something like that. But look, I'll tell you what's really going to sink your souffle is fear. Fear can be debilitating. Fear can bring your life to a halt, to a total stop. And we're going to identify all your fears about cooking today. We're going to find a way to eliminate them together. But first, I've got a what am I for you today. It says, please tell me in the comments section below, what am I? And these words are Choquette, Gwen, Haas, Lula, Maluma, Pinkerton, and Reed. What am I? Sounds like the front line of a Hawaiian football team to me. But that's not the answer. So tell me in the comments below. Look, I spend a lot of time, you may not know it, but I spend a lot of time in our Carefree Cooks community. It's the private Facebook community for lifetime members of web cooking classes. I lurk. I lurk a lot. I watch how the people are using their lifetime memberships in web cooking classes. And I know your progress. I know so many of your names. Heather and I said it the other night. Some of these people would freak out if they knew we were talking about them over dinner, like and how good their cooking was. We do, all right? We talk about you over dinner. That's not popping up. There we go. But the thing is, in the group, I don't always, get in there and interact because I really don't want to interrupt the discussions that are going on there. I have a feeling, that if I jump in there, and don't forget, I like to make students into teachers. So I don't ever want to get involved and stop the conversation from going on because I find out that kind of once I answer the question, then the conversation stops. If I get in there, it's like, oh, shh, what's he going to say? Well, what's Chef Todd going to say? Or, oh, well, Chef Todd gave the answer. That's got to be the final word on that, you know. And I certainly can't add to it. I can't contradict Chef Todd. I don't want you to have that attitude. First, yes, you can contradict me. Go ahead. You know, to tell me something. I love to talk and converse about different methods and different ways to cook. I know a lot about food and cooking, but I don't know everything. I know if you consider like all there is to know, I know this much about food and cooking, even though this much is a lot more than many people. But, you know, the main thing is, over the years, in teaching other people, I've learned a ton from my students. So I like to keep my ears open, you know? So if a discussion in our community starts to go astray, I'll pop up, I'll help out, but mostly I just watch what's going on. And I gotta tell you, I'm really impressed. Think about this. I am a very fortunate guy because every day I get up and I read comments like, I can't believe I can do this now. And my first poached egg and my first perfectly grilled, first saute. It was the best I ever made. I wake up, I see these comments on my phone. My spouse helped me do the dishes, things like that. It's the good part of what I do. And it's the reason that I do what I do for those comments. That's the reason I do it. And I love to immerse myself in the health and happiness of people that are discovering new things, people that are breaking down old barriers along their personal culinary journey, the people that are taking the path to becoming a carefree cook. But you know, there's just like a different vibe lately in our community and all around the world. There's a lot of fear swirling around, and I'm not sure why, but I'm picking up on a lot more fear in the questions and comments that I get lately. And my mission in life is to help people cook with creativity, confidence, and pride. That's what I want to bring to you. But look, creativity, confidence, and pride cannot grow amongst fear. It's not going to happen. So I've identified the top 5 fears that people have told me about their fears in cooking over the past dozen years or so. I've gathered them all, and these are the things that keep people from their best cooking. Or maybe these are the things that keep people from cooking at all. And that kind of fear can really affect your health, your wealth, your wellness, your social skills, and your overall lifestyle. So let's cut this out, all right? Let's eliminate these things right now, because I've been hearing things lately like, I'm afraid to buy a certain ingredient because I don't know how to cook it, right? I'm gonna mess it up, I'm gonna wind up throwing it in the trash, I'll be wasting money, and then I'm gonna wind up calling for a pizza. Is that you? Have you ever thought that? I hear, I'm afraid of my picky eaters. There are a lot of home cooks out there afraid of the people that they're serving because they're afraid that they won't like what the cook is doing, right? They're saying, I can't be creative in my cooking because I've got to stick with this very narrow variety and a very stagnant audience. Is that your fear, that you can't stray because of picky cookers? No, picky eaters. Yeah, that's it. Next one, maybe you're afraid to ignore recipes. That you're saying, I can't possibly get rid of recipes. Written instructions are my support system, right? They give me guidance. They show me the way. And you know, I mean, in all honesty, I can always blame them if stuff doesn't come out right. That's the real benefit of recipes, having somebody to blame. If you think recipes are safety nets, this fear is really hurting you. Or maybe, you know, you're afraid that you just don't know what foods go together. I'm hearing this all the time now. I've got to be cooking at home more, but I'm afraid I just don't know how to put things together. I'm afraid that it's going to be a disaster. I can't be confident in my cooking because I just don't know what foods go together. I just don't know how to combine them. What if I put 2 foods together and it's bad? That's a fear. And lastly, it's just failure. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. This is an overall, over-encompassing thing, not just about food and cooking, in people's lives, about trying new things, about trying to be brave, about not letting the fear overcome you. These are the people that are saying, I really want to be proud of what I cook, but I'm so afraid to go beyond the dishes that I already know. The same ones that I've been cooking for decades because I don't want to fail. These are the things that are coming at me lately in this new environment. In the pressures that you are under to cook even more and more meals at home. And it was just yesterday I was thinking about all these fears that I'm hearing lately, all these things that are popping up, and I started to realize I've heard all this before. It comes and goes in different times. For as long as I've been teaching cooking, I've heard the very same fears, probably on and off for a decade. They rise and fall. They come and go, they present themselves, they go away, but they're the same fears that even I was thinking about when I was considering changing careers and going to culinary school 20 blah, blah, blah years ago now. And they're the same fears that everybody has in cooking. So the first thing I'm here to tell you is if you're saying these things, you're not alone. But the way to overcome them is to face them head on and move toward your fears. You feel that fear. You look at it. You stare it in the eyes. You fear the fear. You feel the fear. You recognize the fear. And you know what? You just go ahead and do it anyway. Just walk right through it. No matter what your fear is, just ignore it. Pretend it's not there. And the fear of cooking even has a name. It's called majorcophobia. It's a long word. I had to practice pronouncing it, but I've been talking about it for a decade. It's the fear of cooking. And here's the lesson today, okay? This is the lesson that you can apply to any part of your life, no matter where you are, no matter when it is in your life. This is what you can do to change the way that you see the world, because one of the best ways to eliminate fear is to understand the source of the fear. So if you ask yourself if the fear is real, and if it is, okay, well, if it's not real, forget it. If it is, how might you overcome it? And over the years, I have worked with hundreds of professionals. I've worked with thousands of home cooks, and we all have the same fears, and they come down to these 5. The first is just the fear of serving bad food. And ultimately, this is really a status issue. This is fear of embarrassment, of someone thinking your food is bad. There's also fear of the cooking process. These are the people who see the kitchen as a very dangerous place. These are the people who were shooed out of the kitchen when they were kids and they were told, oh, you're going to burn yourself. This is no place for children. And they took that into adulthood. The other fear is just the fear of being without recipes. Like I mentioned a minute ago, you think recipes are a safety net, but they're really a very wobbly crutch that you just can't trust. Because sometimes recipes come out right and sometimes they don't. And it's really frustrating to try and cook with your nose in a book. There's also the fear of causing illness. I hear this a lot from people. These are the people that way overcook everything. They are so afraid of making people sick that they just keep cooking and cooking and cooking. And I understand this. I understand because it is way more embarrassing to serve a raw in the middle chicken breast than it is a rubbery chicken breast. But these are also the people who waste the most money with their mistrust of the food. They throw food away because they think it's not cooked right, or they believe that if you defrost something, you can't refreeze it, and they wind up throwing things away because they don't want to be sick. It's a real fear. It's true. Then you have the fear, really it's a fear of perfection, or an over-perfectionist, I would call it, a fear that it's never good enough. No matter how good it is, could it have been better? And really, these are the best cooks, right? These are the people that already are good cooks, but they cannot be happy with their successes because they're too busy planning the next one. They're never satisfied, and it's a fear that it's never going to be good enough. So these are the 5 fears that I've recognized. Do you see yourself in any of them? If you do, in a minute, I'm going to show you how to get over each and every one of them. But I'd like to tell you a story first about a time in mine and Heather's life that we lived in the greatest amount of fear. And I needn't go into all the details because everybody's got their ups and downs. But this was in 2007. Right? Now, in 2007, the world was changing a lot. Kind of like the way it is now. And the world was changing in 2007, and it was leaving us behind. Well, we knew we had to face our fears. We knew we had to go straight on to this. And we found a guy named T. Harv Eker. He has a book. Here it is. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Now, I wasn't as concerned with being a millionaire, but these are the things that talk about how your head works, you know? And it was really interesting. There's Harv. Right? Really good book. So we decided to go off to his convention in New Jersey. Now, I like these books. You know, when I'm down in the dumps, when I have a lot of fears, when I have a lot of uncertainty. I've already told you about Dean Graziosi, Millionaire Success Habits. Again, regardless of how much money you do or don't have, you can have success habits, you know? I'm not trying to be a millionaire. I'm trying to be successful and get rid of my fears. It's another one. And while I'm on it, this guy, this is a pamphlet. This is how powerful Alex Sharfin is. He only has to write a pamphlet to change your life. So these are the people that have affected my life. But at this time in 2007, we decided to go off to New Jersey. Here we are in 2007 to go see T. Harv Eker's big promotion on the secrets of the millionaire mind and your thought processes about success. And here we are. We're not looking good. I am way overweight. I'm way out of shape. I'm not feeling good. I know it was a bad time in my life because I know I was filled with fear and uncertainty. So during this big 1,500 people in New Jersey, and there's a lot of discussions and group work and, you know, really delving into your mind about what are your fears? What are your biggest fears? And Harv's big event, 1,500 people, was that he passed out arrows, wooden arrows, a wooden arrow with a metal tip on it. And everybody got 2 arrows, or every couple got 2 arrows. Heather and I are there. And you're supposed to write on the tip of the arrow, what is your greatest fear? Write it on the tip of the wooden arrow. And I wrote fear of failure. My greatest fear of failure. And this is at a time where I'm at my lowest, okay? Wooden arrow. So now Harv says in this exercise with all these people, I want you to get your partner and I want you to put the sharp point, the metal point of the arrow against the soft part of your neck right here. Maybe why I wore a V-neck today. Against the soft part of your neck right here. And I want your partner to put their palm against the other side of the arrow and press. So imagine, sharp point of an arrow against the soft part of my larynx. Heather on the other end of the arrow with her palm on the other end holding it there. And I love you, baby. You know, be good to me. And the instruction from Harv was, when I say 3, 1, 2, 3, shove on that arrow as hard as you can. Are you kidding me? On the sharp arrow, shove as hard as you can? There's a lot of fear there. Am I going to die in the Meadowlands? No. This can't happen. But, you know, I figured I haven't heard about a lot of 1,500 person massacres at Harv's events, and he's been doing this for a while. So let me tell you what happens. When you move quickly through your fear, 1, 2, 3, Heather shoved quickly. And the arrows broke. And these are the arrows with a lot of reflection. And on the tip of the arrow, it says, fear of failure. My arrow, Heather's arrow, I did the same to her. She had a little less trepidation because we already saw that the arrow broke. But the lesson here was that when you move toward your fears quickly, in a quick motion. Now, if she had pushed slowly on the arrow, it probably would have pierced my neck eventually. But the quick motion, arrow snaps, your fears disappear. They drop to the ground. It was a life-changing moment for she and I. So look, the best way to overcome any of your fears is to move right through it. Just like an arrow that could potentially go through your neck if you went slowly, but the wood is so much weaker than your skin that the arrow breaks and falls to the floor. And look, we all have fears. We all have fears that we have to face, and overcoming them can really just be a matter of thinking differently. And that's why I teach cooking differently than anybody else in the world. I know I do, because you have to think differently to understand what the heck I'm talking about. Most of the time, right? We have terminology, we have phrases, we have sayings, we have measurements, we have steps and acronyms and 18, 10, and 2, and we have a whole lexicon that's going on. So you got to think differently to really get the good stuff in life. But if you have a fear of serving bad food, if you have a status fear, the first one, right? Here's a thought I want you to repeat to yourself. First, is it true? Is your fear really true? Look at yourself in the mirror. Does this really happen that often that people run screaming from your food? No, usually not. And second, let me help you with this one. Think about this phrase. It's not done until it's on the plate. All right? It's nobody knows what you were setting out to do. I've many times started cooking one dish in my mind. Things don't work out the way I planned. I quickly turn it into another dish. Nobody knows. Have you ever done that? Cooking's not like playing pool. You don't have to call the shot. You know, you might start out making Salisbury steak. It's not working out real well, and you wind up serving chili, right? You know what I'm talking about? I have saved my cooking so many times with a random pantry item or some kind of condiment from the refrigerator. So if you enjoy the journey of becoming a carefree cook, then these little disasters, these things that you're so afraid of, they really, when you have to call upon your cooking methods and your skills, you get confidence. And this is the time when you make something great out of a mistake. And it's happened to me dozens of times. And now I'm not afraid of bad food. I'm not afraid of disasters because something good always comes from it. So if you're afraid of these things, it ain't over till it's on the plate, okay? If you're afraid of the cooking process, right? Burning yourself, cutting yourself, any of these things, this is easy for me to allay these fears because you can always find solace in repeatable cooking methods, the things that we practice in web cooking classes. Because if you repeat the 9 steps in the basic sauté method over and over and over and over again, you get really comfortable with it. You get very confident. And all you got to do is change the ingredients each time for a new original dish. But then the act of cooking, right? Just doing it becomes so reflexive, so dependable and repeatable, it's one where you're always going to be successful and you're always going to be proud. Your first thoughts about cooking should not be that it's a very stressful guessing game where you're probably going to get injured and you'll most likely fail. That does sound very scary, and it should make you fearful. Not if you think about it differently. And look, if you're afraid of recipes, I might agree that you should be. The recipes, they're trying to ruin your cooking, and you're probably right to be afraid of them because they're like an insider trying to sabotage you. Easily solved enough, just ignore them. Just forget about it, because when you have a dependable method of cooking, then you get to choose the ingredients. You don't need written instructions in the book. This fear is gone instantly. Like all those cookbooks in your cabinet, gone instantly. Learn how to cook, and you will always be able to come up with what to cook. The next fear, if your fear is causing illness, undercooking so badly that you think you're going to make somebody sick, well, it's time to dismiss that rather quickly. All you got to do is get a thermometer. Because once you start to quantify your cooking using a thermometer to measure precise finished internal temperatures, then you can be confident that your food is always cooked safe. It's cooked perfectly. Lastly, if you're an over-perfectionist, if you're afraid that your cooking is never going to be good enough, well, join the club. I don't have a cure for this one. It's how we all feel. I'm always on a journey. This is why we call it a culinary journey. This is what carefree cooks do. They move forward all the time. They move through their fears. They move through trepidation. They move through procrastination, because the great thing about learning to cook by method is that you always learn. You're always learning something. And since the method stays the same, you can always scrutinize your cooking. You can always ask yourself, what did I do well? What could I do better next time? If you wanted the item to be more brown, you might realize that it was wet. Dry it off with a paper towel. If your sauce had a burnt taste, lower the heat. Don't saute the onions so much. You get the idea? Move forward. Past any of your fears. Feel the fear. Do it anyway. And then you know what you do? You figure out another piece of the puzzle and you move forward again. A few more steps. Then you'll want to cook for someone else probably. You'll be so proud. You will want to give of your cooking. Cook for someone else. And when you do that, all your fears are gone. Trust me. Just when you start cooking for someone else, you have confidence in your cooking. Or you could just imagine them naked at the table. No, that's for public speaking. Yeah, never mind. That's a different thing. All right, look, we're running out of time. Let's get to the Carefree Cooks collection. Let's see who's fearless in their cooking this week, taking a peek inside the Carefree Cooks community for lifetime members of web cooking classes. And you know, I think it's really fearless of people. I think it's really fearless of people to watch an 18-minute video of some guy cooking from his apartment kitchen in downtown Baltimore, Maryland, and immediately go ahead and repeat this dish in your own home. So there were quite a few of them. A lot of them. Brave, very confident, very creative, and ultimately very proud Carefree Cooks this week who were making my avocado bird's nest from this past Saturday's live casual cooking event. If you haven't seen the avocado bird's nest from Saturday, go to facebook.com/chef.todd.moore/videos and look at it on Saturday. This is Jody. Since Jody, she said she had an avocado, but it was a bit overripe and it wasn't really right for the nesting thing. Probably better to smash for guacamole, but she's a carefree cook. She decided to make tomato bird's nests instead. No fear on Judy, right? Nicely done. George had been paying attention to my Saturday casual cooking segments because he went ahead and combined two of them. This is avocado bird's nest on top of chilaquiles. That's Mexican fusion on top of fusion. George, I guess. No fear in George's kitchen. That's great. Jacqueline says she never would have thought of creating something like the avocado bird's nest before seeing me do it on Saturday. And this created this fearlessness in her because she said she did this dish and she said next time she's going to put it on tortilla chips with salsa. See, the creativity starts going when you get rid of the fear, right? Ed, nice plate. Ed's doing avocado bird's nest thing too. He added an extra smile to the plate, a sure sign of fearlessness. Carrie likes the fry and steam combination that I demonstrated on Saturday. This is a two-part combination for cooking eggs perfectly without browning them. It gave her the confidence to make the dish on her own. She added, looks like ham slices. So good, nicely done. Go forward, Kerry. Nicely done. Alan used his barbecue grill and some silicone rings. Good idea, right? To keep the rings keep the eggs together. I don't recommend cracking eggs onto your barbecue grill, but he said it made them really smoky. So cooking eggs on a grill, my goodness, that's pretty fearless, right? Hey, look, it's scary times now. It is, and it's okay to have a little bit of cautious fear in your life. But when the fear prevents you from getting to where you want to be, where you know you could be, but for the fear, then you need to examine the source, right? You need to examine if it's real. And if it is real, what are you going to do to get rid of it? Okay, hey, let's get back to the what am I for today. Since Choquette, Gwen, Haas, Lula, Maluma, Pinkerton, Reed, since we've been talking about avocado bird's nest craziness this week, I wanted to see how many people knew the different varieties of avocados. Did you know it? Different varieties of avocados. There's more than one. Hey, look, if you know someone whose fears are keeping them from their best cooking, please go ahead, share this video with them so they can look those fears down and start to cook with creativity, confidence, and pride. And speaking of pride, there is nothing more pride-provoking in the kitchen than being able to come up with an endless number of dinner ideas at a moment's notice. And if you'd like to know how I do it in my own kitchen, how I get 5 times more variety and 5 times more flavor into my cooking, I'm going to share the one powerful pro kitchen practice that will get you the same results. If you go to webcookingclasses.com/5times, you can pick a free class time that's right for you. And you don't need to be fearful of it. It's okay. Hey, so until next Tuesday, where we take even more steps toward cracking the Carefree Cook's code, this is Chef Todd Moore reminding you that there's a method to your fearless cooking success. Bye, everyone.